Given is for general information purposes. All legal cases are different, and you should seek the advice of your own attorney before acting or making decisions. No attorney-client privilege applies to communications on this show, and no attorney-client relationship is created by calling or writing in. Attorney Rominger practices only in Pennsylvania and maintains his primary office in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Well, welcome back. Carl Rominger here answering your legal questions. I know this poor man's been holding. You had a question about debt collection.
Okay, again, here's the situation. The medical practice that provided the services is collecting a debt.
Okay.
They then turn that debt collection over to an attorney/debt collector.
Okay.
Letters come. The attorney says, I represent this client. They use the term represent client. There's letters go back to that office asking to show the alleged assignment, some sort of contract that you are attempting to collect this debt for the alleged creditor. They never respond. They don't. There's no answer. They dance around that question. My question to you is did they buy that debt, and are they misrepresenting the legal status of that debt?
Well, I mean, here's the answer. It's hard to say. Do they represent the person they're trying to collect it on behalf of as a agent, or have they become the principal by purchasing the debt? And the only way to find out that answer is when they sue you. You can say, I don't owe you the debt. And they will say, well, no, we're the successor in interest to that debt, and here's the note or the assignment, in this case, that proves that.
So they would hold on to that assignment and not show their cards until they go to and perform an action or take legal action against.
Or it hasn't been assigned yet, and they're only going to get an assignment when it's time to take legal action.
Okay. So then legally, then if they bought this debt, then you don't owe them that money to those people, do you not?
If they bought the debt, then they own it, but they have to have an assignment for the purchase, which is a legal document.
Okay. All right. Well, that pretty much answers my question.
All right, boss. And remember, the assignee's claim is only as good as the assignors.
All right.
All right?
Thank you.
540-0580. Dan, you're on WHP 580.
Hi, Carl. How are you today?
I am not too bad. I am going to take my son fishing later this evening, so it's going to be fun.
Sounds terrific. A great day out there. My question has to do with I am on the board of directors of a homeowners association.
Okay.
Two of my neighbors within that association are in litigation against each other on a property issue.
Okay.
So I have been subpoenaed to go to the lawyer's office and be deposed on what was basically said at some board meetings regarding this issue.
Okay.
So my question is, should I take an attorney with me to the deposition is my first question. And second question is, do I have any personal liability here?
Well, are you a member of the board?
Yes.
Yeah. You guys should have a solicitor, right?
We do, yes.
I would ask your solicitor those questions. And just say, do I need an attorney, a personal attorney or not? And the best way to do it, send it to them in an email. If, they're probably going to tell you why you can have one. As for personal liability, you probably don't have any personal liability as long as you're acting fully in capacity as a board member on a vote or a discussion or something like that.
Okay.
So you're probably okay.
Okay.
And probably don't need an attorney, but to be safe, I would check with somebody who knows what the real issues in the case are.
Okay.
All right?
Makes sense. Thank you very much.
All right, boss. Good luck.
All right. Bye-bye.
540-0580. No fun to be subpoenaed into somebody else's fight, I mean, it's one thing when you initiate a lawsuit, you might have to go to court, you might have to testify, you might know you have to slug it out, and instead you get this notice of deposition that somebody else is peeing in somebody else's Cheerios, and now they want to hear from you as to, what color were the Cheerios, and, well, you can, it goes downhill from there. I want to remind you next Saturday, we kind of threw this together, but next Saturday we're going to do a little gun and cigar talk. So we can talk about cigars too, but it's going to be at the Harrisburg Beer and Cigar. And that's over at 3842 Union Deposit Road here in Harrisburg. And you can come from all over. I'm hoping lots of people will come. We'll be smoky. We will be smoking cigars, so don't bring your kids, okay? No children allowed. Can't be in there smoking. And you can't smoke around your kids. Remember that. And soon you won't be able to smoke anywhere, so might as well come over and smoke while you still can. Those guys over there sponsored the show. They gave me some good beers to try again, some Founders and some Sam Adams. I'm working my way through those a little bit at a time. Actually, the Albion Ale went really good with pizza. It's kind of a crisper ale. It's not too hoppy, because if it's too hoppy, people won't want to drink it unless you really like beer, and then you will. Anyhow, that's going on, and then on May 9th, of course, we're going to be down there at the Franklin Fire Company with the 912 Patriots at 158 West King Street talking firearms law. So I just want to remind you guys of those things. Greg, you're on WHP 580. What's going on? Hey, Greg.
Hey, sorry, I didn't know that was me. I recently applied for and received a concealed carry permit, as well as a small pistol. Is there any way that they would have missed anything when they did the background check? I don't mean to be vague, but when I was really young down in South Florida, I had some issues, but I don't think they rose to the level. But to be honest, I don't remember. Right,
and it's quite possible. Usually, the background check when they do it is sufficiently broad that if you had any major crimes in Florida on the record, they should have showed up.
Yeah.
Only other way to do it would be to hire somebody to run you in the Florida system.
Yeah.
And have them do it, officially. So I'd probably, if you went, here in Pennsylvania, the easiest way to check your Pennsylvania criminal record is to go to the state police. Right. I would suspect Florida has a similar bureau or individual that could do it.
So you just call an attorney in Florida?
Yeah, or you could do it on your own. And what I mean by that is, if you're not sure what your conviction was, etc., I would just start with the Florida State Police or the Florida Legislature's page, website, and just find their how do I get my criminal record in Florida, and send away to that state agency and get a certified copy of your criminal record from Florida. Then you can look at it, and if it looks problematic, then you can just have a lawyer look at it. And that could probably be any lawyer, because I could certainly interpret what those convictions would mean here.
Yeah, because down there they had some pretty draconian laws about some things, and I just can't recall if it was a felony thing or not. I don't think it was. But,
right.
Down there, you never know. They had some odd laws down there.
Well, and there are a lot of states with a lot of odd stuff. In fact, there's dispositions in some states that are not considered convictions in that state, but other states have a hard time reading that because it looks like a conviction in this state, just the way they write it up.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for your help. I'll do that.
All right, boss. Thanks.
Bye.
540-0580, answering your legal questions. If you've had a personal injury accident, been in a car accident, motorcycle accident, anything like that, happy to answer those questions here today. And, of course, we handle those cases. So, in the meantime, you can go to romingerlaw.com to learn more about us. Steve, you're on WHP. What's going on? Hey, Steve.
I'm already, okay? I know you've covered this in the past, but I want to buy a pistol from a private, I'm a private buyer, and I want to get it from a private seller. And I've been getting conflicting information from the sheriff's department and all manner of people. And I just wanted to I wanted you to explain again how this works. It's a handgun, and I'm being told that there's a difference between transferring a handgun and transferring a rifle or shotgun. I just want to sort of verify that with you.
Well, in Pennsylvania, you can purchase a handgun, a rifle, or a shotgun, or any gun like that at a store, right?
Right.
But when you go between private individuals, theoretically, there has to be a transfer at a licensed firearms dealer for pistols. Okay?
Okay.
However, we had somebody call in here who was an FFL who told us that's not absolutely true, that in true private transactions, even in Pennsylvania, there isn't a requirement that the state police paperwork be filled out, that two individuals can sell the gun to each other as long as they keep a bill of sales, etc. But my advice is, with handguns, because you just want to be sure that the person who's buying it, if you don't know them, doesn't have a criminal record, and somehow later it's claimed that you did know about it.
Okay.
It's safe harbor to transfer any gun through a gun dealer, because the gun dealer charge you $20 and do the background check and the PICS check and everything. And then later, if there's a problem, you can put your hands up in the air and go, hey, I didn't know because I just relied on the Pennsylvania Instant Check system.
Okay. I've been calling around, and but apparently this is the issue of handguns is really muddled up in this state. The York County Sheriff told, the deputy said that. How did he word this? He said that it was a federal law that you had to get a background check done to transfer a handgun, but apparently that's not necessarily the case. But like you say, it's just as well to go ahead and do it.
Well, I don't think you have to based on the information we've gotten, but we think that it's safe. It's the safest to go through the FFL. And if one of the guys who's an FFL would call in again and refresh us on that wouldn't hurt, okay?
Okay,
so
sure.
Keep listening for the next half hour or so. We'll probably get somebody on here that's going to give us a definitive answer.
Okay, I'll keep the radio on.
All right, bye. 540-0580. Got to go to break. When we come back, we'll answer some more questions. 540-0580. Carl Rominger here answering your legal questions. Very nice weather out today. Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. Dennis, what do you got going on, Dennis?
Hey, Carl, I have a question that I'm hoping probably a lot of people wanted to ask. It's about dog wardens. Every year we see that the dog wardens are going to be active and they're going to be out looking for the dogs with the license and stuff. I just have a few legal questions for you. Number one, can they come on your property? And by property, I mean like within a fenced area. Let's say they ride by and they see 3 or 4 dogs running around in the yard. Are they able to come into your yard, let's say climb through the fence or over a fence to check to see whether those dogs have tags? Are they allowed inside your residence if they're acting upon some sort of complaint about checking to see whether dogs have some tags? And if so, what type of offense is it? Is it a summary offense? Is it handled at the district justice level? Or is it something that arises maybe to misdemeanor 3 or something? And just kind of what are their duties and what can and can't they do?
So you're talking about dog wardens.
That's correct.
And you're wondering if they can just come onto your property.
Correct. In other words, if they see your dogs running in a yard,
right?
And I would consider that, but it's visible to them. It's open to them. It's something that they can see. Would they be allowed to come into your yard to look at the dogs to see whether they have the updated dog licenses?
I don't think they can enter your curtilage, okay?
Okay.
Now, notice I didn't say yard, I said curtilage. So if you're in a little house with a little white picket fence around it, I don't think they can just open the gate to the fence and come in for purposes of inspecting the dogs.
Right.
But if they can make an observation from where they're at, they could certainly go get a warrant to come in.
Okay.
As for now, there's something called the open fields exception. So the police can just wander across your open fields or land, and if they come across something, certainly act upon it.
All right.
And so, that's kind of a bummer, that one.
Okay.
If they're just walking across your field, even though they're technically trespassing and they come across your still, it's theirs to take action on, even though they, again, didn't have a warrant. It's called the open fields exception. So the dog warden, seems to me, can't just come into your house and probably can't just come into your yard. Now, here's what's weird, though. Let's talk about it this way. Let's say your mailbox is on your front porch. Remember those days, right? A lot of people have their mailbox on their front porch. Sure. And you have the little white picket fence. And anybody who wants to knock on your front door has to open the picket fence, walk up the sidewalk, and knock on your door. If I'm the mailman, I open the fence, and I drop the mail in, and I walk back out. There might be a question where the warden says, well, all I want to do is knock on his door and ask him if he'd let me look at his dogs, and there I was right there with the dogs.
Okay.
So that's a closer call. I'm not sure that's a clean cut.
All righty. And then again, what sort of, is it a summary citation that they would give you?
Yeah, you get a summary, but let me ask this question. Isn't it just easy to vaccinate the dog and register?
Well, it certainly is. I think to register the dogs, if you have more than one, it could be it could cost you a few bucks. In our case, we have a few rescue dogs that we've taken in. So we've always, there has been a number of different viewpoints on this, and I guess myths on what they could do and what they couldn't do, and what you would be obliged to do, whether to appear in court or appear before a district justice, something like that. But yeah, getting the shots, I certainly agree with. I have no problem with that. It's just these ever-increasing registration fees that we're starting to see within the county.
Right, and I hear what you're saying. And of course, the original purpose of licensing dogs was to do what?
Well, I believe it was to ensure that they had all their proper shots.
Shots, that's right. And originally, so the original, and this is always government 101, right? The original purpose was to registering cars was so we could figure out who owned it, right?
Correct.
The original purpose of registering the dog is to figure out who owned it and have they done what they're supposed to with the dog.
Yeah.
And now we keep adding fees and assessments and things because why? Well, we want to make money on it.
Right. And to be honest with you, I mean, the last time we registered our dogs here in Dauphin County, there was no questions asked at all about whether they were updated with their shots or proof of vaccinations or anything like that. They merely wanted to know the name of the dog, who the owners were, and the fact that there was a pay up the fee, and that was it.
And do you have to register your cat?
Yeah.
No. Go figure.
I don't know about cats, but again, I think it started out properly. So the fact that you had a rabies vaccination and you could put that tag on your dog. But I think this is a different type of registration that the dog wardens would be looking to enforce. And again, it's just another fee for the county to collect.
Yeah, and see, everybody likes the idea. So what happens is the other way they sell this stuff is they tell you, well, in order to afford the dog warden, in order to afford the building inspector, in order to afford all these people to trample on your rights, we need your money, and that's why we collect this money. But it's always interesting to see what they collect versus what they actually spend, and what the resources are actually put to work on.
I certainly agree. One fast story. There's always that misnomer about the policeman that's parked up the street from a tap room or a bar, and he waits for someone to come out and then follows them and looks for a DUI arrest. I've heard from two separate people now that these township dog walking areas where you could take your dog and let them run around and free. That seems to be frequented by the dog warden, who just sits there and waits for people to get out of their cars and come up with their unlicensed dogs, so we could write them their fines and everything. So. Right.
It's like being the fish commission officer where there's only one lake in your jurisdiction. Everybody just thinks you're mean, but there's not much to do. Or actually. But back up in New York, we used to have game wardens, and so the game wardens handled fish and wildlife, and they were pretty scarce. But on a Sunday morning, guarantee you, the guy would roll down to the public pier on Lake Erie, because that's where you catch everybody. Everybody gets out of church and they come down, and then their kid's fishing, and then Dad decides to help get involved, and he starts fishing. Of course, he didn't buy a license, so it was sort of like shooting ducks in the barrel, or fish in the barrel, or ducks on the pond.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we all have a job to do, and I guess some are a little bit doing it more forcefully than others.
Hey, if you handed me a bushel basket and said, "Go pick apples," right? I'm going to pick the tree with all the apples.
Absolutely. Hey, there's something people should know about you. Why I got you on the phone? You did some help for me in putting together some wills and everything, and a couple of years back, and you were a big help with your advice and all that sort of stuff. So people should know that not only are you a good lawyer and certainly a wise attorney, but you're also a very nice and friendly guy as well. So,
well, thank you.
So I hope they all realize that, and I hope that that people take advantage of your services for your law office. I
really appreciate it, Dennis. Take care.
All right, Carl. Take care of yourself. Bye now.
I have to put $5 in the mail to him. Maggie, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger.
Hey, Carl. My question has to do with summary citations non-traffic summary citations, do they appear on criminal background checks?
Yes, kind of. So summary citations are very easy to find these days. I can get them on Google. I go to the PA portal and I can pull up all your summary citations. Sometimes the state police miss them on their certified reports. But yes, they will haunt you.
Is there this one specifically is a failure to file a local income tax return that was settled? I mean, in terms of the severity of something like that, I guess compared to other offenses, I mean, how does something like that rank? I mean, what does that mean?
A summary offense is like a parking ticket, a traffic ticket, or a non-traffic summary. So we consider them to be the lowest level of offense. The law actually says that pleading guilty to a summary offense doesn't mean you actually did it, because it may be more annoying to go to the hearing and be found not guilty than it is to simply pay the fine. That said, you can expunge them after 5 years.
Gotcha. Thanks so much, Carl.
All right, Maggie, good luck. 540-0580. I want to remind you guys, when we come back from the break, I'm going to talk with George and Dan, but I want to remind you guys we're going to be at Harrisburg Beer and Cigar next Saturday at 4 o'clock doing a little gun law chat. We're going to take over their lounge. I hope to see as many of you there as possible. Of course, keep in mind we will be puffing on cigars, so it will be smoky, no kids. I just remember this no kids thing. I just keep seeing in my head some guy showing up with like 8 kids. Well, I guess you could lock the kids in the car in the parking lot. That's probably really responsible. Then we'll be like the casinos getting in trouble for that. Long and short of it, that's Saturday, May 11th at 4 p.m. We'll last about an hour, longer if necessary. Just a leisurely, I'm going to go on over after the show and puff a cigar. And when people get there, we'll kick it off with a little question and answer, talk about the Second Amendment, talk about the Castle Doctrine, talk about self-defense, swap stories, good old-fashioned swap meet. All right, when we get back from the break, I'll talk with George and Dan. I'll see you guys in a minute. Oh, welcome back. 540-0580. Dale, what's going on? Hey, Dale.
Bill?
Bill or Dale?
Tall Bill.
Tall Bill?
Yeah.
My man can't spell. All right, I gotcha.
Okay. Hey, Carl, on these fish wardens, there was a woman that was with her husband out at a cabin in a lake with a lake there, and the husband went into town, and she decided she'd just, sit in the boat there and read her book. And one of those fish wardens came along and says, do you have a license? And she says, no, I don't. And he says, well, I'm going to give you a ticket because you're fishing without a license. And she says, I'm not fishing. I'm reading a book. He says, no, you've got all the equipment here. You could have been fishing, and I don't know if you were or not. And so then she says, if you give me a ticket, I'm going to accuse you of raping me. And he says, well, I didn't do that. She said, well, you have all the equipment. You could have.
Well, that reminds me of the game warden and the guys are in the boat throwing dynamite in, right? You've heard this one, I'm sure, right? And he lights a stick of dynamite and hands it to the game warden and says, what are you going to do? Write me up or fish?
Good. Hey, Carl, you're really a great guy. Send me $5 also. See you later.
I'll talk to you. All right. Oh, good Lord. I just cost myself probably $1 million $5 bills. Who's on line 3? I lost a name on this system, Shane. Dan, I'm sorry about that. Your name disappeared. There's a quirk in this computer. I think Durgan actually touched it, and it doesn't work anymore. What's going on?
Hello?
Yep, you're on.
Oh, hey, it's Dan.
Yep, Dan, you're on.
Hey, I have a tenant that called me a couple years ago and said, hey, do you mind if I put a security system in your house? In the property. And I said, yeah, go ahead and do that. Well, about 3 months ago, I get a call, and it's the security system saying that I owe them $300.
Right.
And I said, I thought it was a joke at first, and I said, I don't owe you anything. And they're like, well, you do because you signed the contract. I said, let me see the contract. So they emailed it to me, and of course, it's not my signature. Somebody forged it. So they said, well, if you send us your license, we'll just take it off. And I said, well, I'm not sure I want to do that. Let me just confirm what's going on here with the tenant. Anyway, long story short, the tenant said she did not sign my name, which I believe her. She's a good tenant.
Right.
And so called back the security company, and I said, it's not my signature. I don't owe you anything. And I'll send you my license. And then they said, well, no, we don't want to do that anymore. We want you to go to the police department and file, I guess, charges against my tenant or the people that actually did the contract, which is a subcontractor from the security system. Anyway, I did that. And the police department, the subcontracting company that installed the security system no longer is in business.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm trying to figure out, I mean, they don't have really any information other than my name. Can they go to the credit? I mean, really, it's all about my credit.
Well, I would check your credit report and see, and if they put it on there, you can dispute it, and you can also sue them.
Okay. So, okay. Would I need an attorney to do that, I guess?
It probably would behoove you at that point. But have you checked your credit to see if they've done anything?
Yeah.
And did they put anything on there?
Okay. And if they may not have done it yet, but, I guess I can dispute it with the credit card company or
right.
with the credit bureau and then go from there.
Yeah, that would be my thought.
Okay. All right.
All right, man.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, good luck. Yeah, I'm not sure I followed all that. George, you're on the air.
Hello. Was that George?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, what's going on?
This is George.
Yeah, George, you're on the air.
Okay. Carl, in September of 2011, we lent some money to a friend. No paperwork, official paperwork. She had had her bank, somebody come into her account and wiped it out, and she needed the money for child schooling, tuition, whatever. And she lived here. We're in the Lancaster area, and she lived around, and we talked from time to time. And I guess she was going to pay it back the following spring when she got her bonus. Well, bonus wasn't what she thought it was going to be, et cetera. And the long and short is that right now we don't know exactly where she is. She's no longer at the address. The phone number is disconnected. Primarily, we'd like to be able to talk to her to see what's going on,
right,
rather than trying to do anything serious. And I'm wondering what is a way to try to track her down. We tried that one service on the internet. I forget what it's called, and that was not successful. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, you could go with a traditional private investigator.
Okay, that's money.
And right, how much money does this person owe you?
$3,500.
$3,500.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not. We're not poor, we're not rich, but we'd still like to get the money back.
Yeah, I'd like to get the money back. The answer is you only hate to throw good money after bad, but frankly, it may be that point where it is time to just go through a regular, good old-fashioned private investigator.
Uh-huh.
Your other option is to try to run them. Do you know where she worked?
My wife recalls. I think we know where she did work. It was a national company which had a headquarters or an office. I believe in the Harrisburg area. I'm pretty sure Hershey somewhere.
Well, if she's not, you could try calling there and asking for her.
See if she still works there.
Yeah,
I sort of thought about that, but then kind of forgot.
Yeah, try that. And then other than that, I would get a private investigator who can just do some database searches for you. But the stuff they have access to is much better than what they sell you on the internet.
Yeah. Now, of course, having a private investigator, even if he tracks her down.
No guarantees. You still have to sue her eventually.
Pardon?
You'll still have to sue her eventually if you want to. If she's not willing to pay.
Yeah.
Of course, if you track her down, that'll let her know you're serious, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it was. We thought we were pretty good friends. These things happen, I guess.
Yeah. Well, try to look. Maybe she's just reluctant to contact you because she feels bad. But maybe once you break the ice, it'll get things flowing again.
Well, we'll give it a try.
All right. Good luck.
Thanks, Carl.
All right. 540-0580. Carl Rominger here answering your legal questions on WHP 580. Throughout the week or anytime, you can hit me up on Facebook. Carl with a K, Rominger, Rominger. Feel free to friend request me. And, of course, we have the Rominger and Associates law office page with a lot of exclusive content on there. Be sure and like it. And in the meantime, you can go to romingerlaw.com and if you need to hire us. Erica, you're on WHP 580. What's going on?
Hey, I had a question about a utility line that's crossing my property diagonally, actually.
Okay.
Last year in a big storm, the utility pole in the back of our property went down. And when they put the new pole in, they put it on the opposite side. And my neighbor's phone line now runs from the left back corner to the right front corner, all the way diagonally across and crossing every other line that goes anywhere.
Right.
I was wondering if there's anything we can legally, are we allowed to? They didn't ask me to run this wire in the first place. Come into my property and run this line here. So I'm wondering if there's something we can do to just take it down, or
who ran the line? Who ran the line?
The phone company, Verizon.
And it goes across your property. Do they have
diagonally?
Diagonally. Do they have a right of way or an easement?
I mean, there's no way it's on an easement. It goes all the way across.
Interesting. Well, the short answer is if their wire is where it's not supposed to be. Is this the wire that connects to your house, or this is the wire that?
It connects to their house, but it goes all the way from the left side of our yard to their house on the right side of our yard.
I don't know the answer to that one. I guess their wires really shouldn't come across your yard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe you could ask them to take it down, and maybe you could force them to take it down, and Verizon should probably string. Is there a different way for them to string it?
There's a whole line that goes all the way across the back of where everybody's properties are. I think they could string it from there. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
It looks like the transformer box is over there on that new pole they put up, though.
All right. Well, the short answer is, have you tried talking to Verizon about it?
I have not gotten them to do anything. I tried calling them repeatedly, and they have not been out.
Gotcha. They haven't been out to look at it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know the answer off the top of my head on this one. If it was the power company just put the line across your yard, they've got to have an easement or right of way. Yeah. Here, they're connecting to somebody's house, and I don't know if there's any leeway for that or how the airspace on that works, but you're saying it goes diagonally right across your yard.
Yes.
Interesting. Well, I don't have a great answer.
Okay.
We could research it, but that's going to cost you a couple $100.
Yeah, I tried poking around on the internet and stuff, and I can't find anything. I can't even find a keyword that makes sense to try and get more information.
Right. All right, my dear. Good luck.
I guess we'll go back to pestering the phone company.
Yes, go back to pestering the phone company. I got to go to break.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye. 540-0580. See you guys in a second. Welcome back. Carl Rominger here, wrapping up the show for the week. We'll get a few more minutes to keep answering your questions, though, so get them on here, 540-0580. And reminder, next week, right after the show, I'm going to swing over to Harrisburg Beer and Cigars, and for an hour from 4 to 5, answer your questions about gun laws, gun rights, self-defense, castle doctrine, all that fun stuff. It's going to be kind of like the same thing I do when I go to the Fish and Game Club. So if you've missed those in the past or heard about them and wanted to go, this is your chance. Of course, it's going to be a smoke-filled back room, so it'll also be like a real political event. 540-0580. Tanner, you're on, buddy.
Hey, how you doing?
What's going on?
Well, I had a situation where my fiance was out back of our house with a couple friends, and they were shooting a pistol off. And it's a wooded area out back. I mean, it's totally safe, and we have a place to shoot into. And about a half hour after they were done, we were, grilling out, and 2 Carroll Township police officers showed up at my house.
Okay.
And they had a report that there was gunfire, and that a neighbor supposedly had called because she was concerned about the gunfire going off.
Yeah.
So they came into the house, or came into the garage, and they wanted to see the weapon and asked me what I was doing and what kind of gun it was, and basically that's it. But my question is, what are my rights at that point? They came in here unannounced, because a neighbor had called them.
When you say came in unannounced, where did they come into unannounced?
Well, they just pulled up in my driveway.
Okay, so they pull up in their driveway. I don't think they. I mean, what do you want them to do? Send a letter ahead of time? At that part, it is what it is. They pull in. Now, why are they in their why are they in your garage with you?
That was another thing. They just kind of marched in my garage because I had my garage doors up and I had the grill on and everything.
Okay, so
and they demanded to see the gun and asked where I was shooting, what I was doing.
And the answer there is you can tell them, I'm not. If here's how Carl would have handled it. I just said, boys, real simple. What I do in my property and in my own time is really none of your business. Goodbye.
So I was in every right to tell them to do that.
Yeah, right. What right did they have?
Well, that's kind of what I thought. I mean, it kind of ticked me off a little bit, especially with all the gun stuff that's happening now, that supposedly a neighbor had called because she was concerned about gunfire.
Well, she could.
Had there been an emergency, I mean, they should have showed up within minutes. And the police station's only 3 miles from my house.
Right, but assume they get dispatched, they heard gunfire, they just want to check it out, and they come out. I understand what you're saying. They could come fast, but let's just assume they come and they check it out. They say, well, and you go, yeah, everybody's here. Talk to you later. What, you had to report a gunfire? What's the problem with that, But my thing to them would have been, first of all, I say, please get out of my garage. And I closed the door. And then I said, now, I don't answer questions for police officers. So,
well, I didn't know what to do. I kind of complied.
Right.
I felt like I didn't have to, and I didn't want to, but I did.
On the other hand, right, there's the second way to handle it. Hey, guys, we were just out back target shooting.
I showed him the pistol, but my thing is, if this happens again, because apparently a neighbor called, so next time they show up, I should just tell them, get the heck out of here.
Well, here's the answer. Here's the answer. The smoothest way to handle it would be, okay, why are you guys here? Well, there was a report that there was some gunfire. Yeah, we were target shooting.
Right.
And when they say, I want to see the gun, I say, whoa. That's where it ends. I don't give the government my gun. Guys, I know you're not the government, but you work for the government. And I hope you understand it's just a little fetish of mine that I don't like to give up my constitutional rights unnecessarily. So why don't you guys just put down on your piece of paper there, your report you're going to file, that target shooting. And
they demanded to see an ID and everything, and of course I didn't have an ID because it was in the house.
Right.
My wallet was in the house. But also, like, if we're out back shooting a gun, like, why were they dispatched in the first place?
Well, but they don't know what to report. So listen, you're putting too much assumption into what their report was. I mean, we've had the police come out. We've had the police come out because we're shooting geese in a field before, right? Because soccer mom goes, "Oh my God, there's men with guns in a field," and calls the police, and that's the report they get.
Right.
So they want to come in and
a half hour later.
Right. I understand.
I mean, if it would have been an emergency situation, they should have been there within a minute.
It'd have been an emergency situation. Somebody would have been dead. Tanner, it's okay.
All right, well, that's great. I appreciate that. So next time they show up, because we shoot pistols quite often, and I haven't since then because of this.
Right.
I can just tell them, get the heck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I would now, Tanner, watch my video. Go to my Facebook page, friend me or whatever you need to do to see the video. It's me stopped by the police, and I invoke all my rights without being what's that word? A Richard. Okay.
Right.
And what you do is you have to be friendly. So it's not get lost. It's, listen, officers, I appreciate you're here. We were target shooting. Other than that, I don't really answer questions for the police. In fact, I've answered one more than I usually would, just so you guys know what was going on. I'll see you later. But you don't want to be in their face, or when they say, well, we don't feel like leaving, you can't go, get the F out of here, because you're going to get your...
I don't want to cause enemies. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's, and the other thing, though, the reason that you don't really want to give them access to your house is they might find your dope. You don't want to give them access to your gun because they might discover some problem with the gun. I mean, all those reasons.
Right. I just, okay, so that I handled it pretty well.
You handled it pretty well, and actually, I don't know which officers it was. I know one or two of the guys that work for Carroll Township, and they're pretty reasonable guys.
Well, absolutely, and I've known a lot of them for a long time. These are newer guys, so I didn't know them personally. But
And that's the other thing is probably, now here's the other theory. Once you've done this once and you've cooperated a little bit, because here's the long-term strategy. Now the next time the neighbor lady calls, the officer's going to say, okay, this is the same lady that calls every time somebody discharges a gun in target practice.
that's what the guys at work were saying. They're saying you should just shoot off 5 rounds before work and after work every day, and then they'll get tired of it calling.
Right. Right, and trust me, they exist. There are people that will call the police over the littlest of things.
I did a little research after it happened, but at that point I didn't know what my rights were, whether I had to show them an ID, whether I had to show them the gun, whether I had to do anything at all. So, I mean, and I did, I didn't show my ID, but they obviously know where I live and who I am because they're at my house. But,
right.
I did show them the gun, and they were fine with that. They handed it back to me, and it was pretty cordial. But they said that they are mandated to report to any gunfire report and check out what's going on. And I understand that if it's an emergency, but why show up a half hour later?
Right. Well, that may be the response time. Up in Perry County, it takes 45 minutes from the time I shoot you for the police to get there.
The Township Police Department is within a crow fly a mile from my house.
Now you're assuming that they were just sitting there drinking coffee and eating donuts, and that's stereotyping.
Right. But a half hour, Dillsburg's not that big.
Yeah, I know. I've been there.
Yep.
I used to go.
I appreciate it, and that gives me some insight on what to do next time. So.
All right, boss. Sounds like you handled it well. And just a little quick reminder here: you don't have to let the government look over your guns, and you don't have to give them your ID in Pennsylvania unless you're driving to prove that you have a driver's license.
Okay.
But and so I gave you the two different options. One is to take a hard line. One is to cooperate. Sometimes cooperation gets you in trouble, but sometimes it prevents long-term problems.
Right.
And unnecessary attention. So,
yeah,
good.
I mean, I want to be on good standing with them, so I did what I thought I had to do to keep on good terms.
Yeah,
so.
that's probably the long-term strategy. Very sound, Tanner.
Okay. Hey,
All right.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, Carl Rominger here, Weekend Appointments, the show. Of course, we'll be back next week for 2 full hours answering your legal questions. And then 4 o'clock, I'm going to be over at the Harrisburg Beer and Cigar off of Union Deposit, which is, if you haven't been there, you should go there. It's a really good place. They've got a lot of good beer, etc. Now, also tomorrow at noon, I will be tuned into WHP 580 to listen to the Trimline show with Nadia. Do we have pictures of Nadia anywhere? I mean, this sounds like... I don't know. All right. Well, anyhow, we're going to talk to Nadia about getting in shape. That's what we're going to. I'll call in tomorrow and I'll heckle her like my callers do, and then she'll have to send me $5. All right, guys, take care.